Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm Frismelin, and today we're playing a bit more of our Druid Arena run. So, yeah, I did take a day out more or less because of the fact that I just had a good D&D session with some friends, which was quite fun and enjoyable. And we'll probably have to then wait like 2 months before we actually organise the second one, which is always the way. But let's play some games.
Lunara versus Gul'dan. Your soul shall be mine.
The forest
Okay.
is back.
Probably toss that, keep that. Maybe I can get a 2-drop off this or draw one. This is going to be really good on turn 7. Let's go. That's 3, that's 4. Hopefully I get the 2-drop off this one. Yeah, I do enjoy
Nature speaks.
a bit of Dungeons & Dragons whenever you get the opportunity for it. No, I think we just play this here. There's no point in me coining that, because I could coin this out, which would be a lot better. Next turn I could just like play a 3-drop or coin this out. No, I don't need to coin that out. Don't need to coin this out. I could just give the buff to this anyway. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, every time I kind of start a new session with friends, either the fact that we have someone that kind of just wants to learn how to play,
You're gonna love the way you look. Go with the flow.
or we get someone that kind of thinks, actually, you know what, we're all kind of doing that, and some people never played before, and some people have played a little bit. I am a casual. I am not going to say I know the rules completely off by heart. I will always read the rule book, and you have variance in what we believe to be a good idea and not a good idea most of the time.
Bedazzling. This'll be good.
So sometimes there is the rule of cool, as it were, or you know, if something is pretty cool, why not let you do it? And I always, in those sort of situations, get struggled with the rogue class. I don't know why. Like I've played some like really fun characters in my time, and we've had some really good kind of like homebrew sessions, which when I was at university, one of my favourite ones was the fact that... Do I need to use this now? This sets it up to be used. We had a mate of mine that quite liked playing a few different things, and in the end what we ended up doing was we'd have like these mini one-shots that we ended up playing, and we'd have like procedural characters that would be involved in all these different stories and things like that as well, which was quite fun and entertaining. Should get this out now. 3/5/5s, is that hard to deal with? Especially what's coming next.
Good.
I mean, I could have gone 4, but I don't think there's any point doing that. And essentially what it would be is we'd have our characters and we go for like a dungeon explore that is created up, and instantly, essentially there was a curse in all these dungeons that we had to have, and what they would end up doing is they would cause something random to happen. It would be the fact that we all suddenly became blind and we couldn't see anything, or, you know, all of us became completely unintelligible to the point where we couldn't communicate anymore. And then we had to try and find our way around this village with just blurting out random rubbish all the time. And I've come up with a few kind of little side stories that I quite found entertaining that made a few of my friends as well actually think kind of like, are they doing the right thing? Are they not doing the right thing? Kind of point. Which is always good to see when you see stuff like that, is you kind of make them think themselves, like, are we actually doing the right thing?
This'll be good.
I'll play this. I'll use this here. Okay, we don't get anything else out of them.
Mind if I roll me?
And I think one of my favourite ones was, essentially they came into this village as a party and they noticed that everyone was wearing hats. Which, you know, was not unusual. They kind of had like a big thing and a theme around the village where it was something that everyone did. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just a natural part of how this place functioned, essentially.
This'll be good.
And, you know, they go through, they do sort of investigations, doing some weird stuff going on in the town, and lots of people just offering them, you know, food, drink, stuff like that, random stuff, celebrating them with the adventurers coming into town. And one of my friends decides to eat the food, at which point I you know, I kind of just I memorized a lot of the characters, kind of like min rolls and max rolls for this, because it's kind of important. They kind of didn't know stuff that was going on, but it still happened behind the scenes. And kind of what ended up happening with them.
This'll be good.
Was the fact that the food they ate was actually a part of this parasitic tree that lived in this village. And essentially it infected every single person in the village. Like, everyone was infected by this tree. And they all wore hats because there's a telltale sign that when they're infected, with basically something appearing on top of their head. This is kind of how the plants communicate with each other and all things like that, which was like really interesting. That's pretty good here, but I need to get this out. So one of the character players is infected, which is great fun, and I was just kind of, you know, sneaky laughing until they started noticing side effects and stuff, and I kind of let them know that stuff was happening to them. They kind of had no way to deal with it as such. I guess we're just playing this out next turn then. So that was kind of good. Really, more single target removal. They have everything at the moment. I guess we're just playing this. That's pretty good here. Then so's that, because... Nah, that's way too good to pass up. So yeah, so like they're noticing stuff's going on and everything else, and as they're kind of walking around the town, the village, they keep getting offered food constantly and all this stuff, and obviously they're starting to wonder like what's going up, and they start to find out what's going on, and you know one thing starts leading into another, and I don't have the innervate here. So my get out of jail free card would be to use that and heal. Well, also, well, there's no harm in using this first. I can get 3 and remove damage off the board.
Thank you. You're both #1 to me.
+2 attack and rush. Yeah.
Choice.
So yeah, and eventually they find out like this tree is doing all this stuff, and like none of the people are actually dying, but they know like the tree could become dangerous later on because essentially these people are being mind controlled by the tree, although they kind of don't mind it. And eventually they come to a decision on what happens. Now I planned for like 3 different outcomes, or more than multiple outcomes on kind of what happens to the tree based upon their choices, interactions with the town, and also what they choose to do at the final bit. So it's kind of like a thing, and later on in the story that I kind of had designed on, you'd find out like what happened to these people because of their choice, which was kind of a grander impact on the whole thing later down the line. This person's getting punished for trying to turn around and say that they won the game, which is kind of nice. And it's like one of the options is essentially they destroy the tree, and the either outcome is all the people in the village die just instantly, because obviously they'll be controlled by the tree. You know, it's fairly important. Do this now if we can. And as they're being controlled by the tree, of course. Ooh, that's dangerous. Guess we're hit in the face. So they all die basically because the tree mind control's gone and everything is there, but the rest of the world is safe. The tree, and nothing really happens later in the story. The next bit is they destroy the tree and free everyone from the mind control, and they're quite happy with it. Ooh, nice win on that one. But later on they find that that tree was kind of the only food source in the area, so all the people end up just going to poverty and starvation, which is not great. Next one, they praise them as heroes, freeing them from the mind control and stuff like that. The other bit is they leave the tree alone, and everyone lives happily ever after. They make a deal with the tree doesn't do anything, and just kind of blends in with society as normal. Lots of people happy, it doesn't take control of anyone outside the village, it just lives by itself. Another one, it slowly starts to encroach on other encampments and starts to take on other areas, so it's like it starts being a bigger problem for them to deal with later, which is another story I had later down the line. If they just left it alone and they went down one of those other bad routes for it, it's just like it starts taking over a city, takes over the king or the monarchy or other sort of areas that kind of might become more dangerous, as it were. And it was just, you know, one of those things. And then another bit is the fact that, yeah, like the tree just dies by itself was another one. You know, that they leave the tree alone, it becomes the end of its lifespan, and it was just doing what it was doing, and no one really seemed to care, and it was never bothered, and when it died, it died. But it's kind of like, I like the way that the players ended up having it, but there are more outcomes towards that as well, and I kind of miss doing a bit of DMing myself, which I might get back into eventually. But anyway, that's enough of my rambling. So again, if you do enjoy the video, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.